6 months after the invasion, the aliens thought they controlled Earth. They had built massive factories in every major city and set up work camps for human slaves. But the hegemony had made a critical error. They believed that defeating Earth's military meant defeating Earth's people. Lieutenant Colonel Sam Turner crouched in the ruins of what used to be downtown Chicago. The aliens had torn down most of the old buildings to build their mining equipment. Giant machines dug deep into the earth, pulling out rare metals that the hegemony needed for their technology. Sam watched a group of human prisoners being marched toward the work site. They wore gray uniforms and metal collars around their necks. The collars were supposed to control their minds and make them obedient, but Sam could see the truth in their eyes. The collars didn't work on humans. "Team leaders report," Sam whispered into his radio. "North team ready?" came the reply from Sergeant Mike Torres. "We have eyes on the guard posts." "South team in position," reported Corporal Jenny Adams. "The explosives are set. East team ready to move," said Private Dan Cooper. "Guard patrol just passed our position." Sam smiled grimly. The aliens thought their technology made them invincible. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Execute in 30 seconds, Sam ordered. The attack began with explosions that lit up the night sky. The alien guard towers vanished in balls of fire as human-made bombs destroyed their power systems. Alarm sirens wailed as alien soldiers rushed to defend their facility, but the humans were already inside their perimeter. Sam's team moved through the chaos like ghosts, using the darkness and confusion to their advantage. They had studied alien movement patterns for weeks and knew exactly where to strike. The alien weapons were powerful, but they were designed for fighting in open space battles. In the tight corridors and ruined buildings of Earth's cities, human guerrilla tactics worked perfectly. The aliens couldn't use their heavy weapons without destroying their own facilities. Sam reached the prison compound and began cutting through the fence with stolen alien tools. The human prisoners saw him coming and started moving toward the exit. Even without speaking, they knew what to do. 6 months of occupation had taught every human on Earth to be ready for rescue. "This way," Sam called softly. "We have transport waiting 3 blocks north." As the prisoners escaped, Sam's team set more explosives throughout the facility. The goal wasn't just to free people. It was to make the aliens afraid to operate anywhere on Earth. Meanwhile, in a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of Boston, Dr. Amy Foster worked on the most important project in human history. She had collected pieces of alien technology from destroyed ships and vehicles. Her team of scientists worked day and night to understand how it functioned. "The power source is some kind of quantum battery," Amy told her assistant, Dr. Paul Reed. "It stores energy in ways that shouldn't be possible according to our physics." "Can we copy it?" Paul asked. Amy held up a small device that glowed with blue light. "We already did. This battery will power a human city for a year. But more importantly, we figured out how to make it explode." The breakthrough had come when engineer Pete Johnson discovered that human brain patterns were completely different from any other species the aliens had encountered. The mind control technology that worked on every other race in the galaxy had no effect on humans at all. "The aliens have been using mental domination for thousands of years," Pete explained to Amy's team. "Every species they conquered became docile and obedient. But human minds work differently. We can't be controlled." This discovery changed everything. The resistance movement spread the word through hidden radio networks. Humans didn't need to fear the alien mind control devices. They were naturally immune. Dr. Amy Foster used this knowledge to create new weapons. If humans were immune to alien mental technology, then maybe human technology could interfere with alien systems. Her team built devices that could disrupt alien computers and shut down their vehicles. The first field test happened during Sam Turner's raid on the Chicago facility. When alien reinforcements arrived in flying vehicles, Amy's jamming devices turned their sophisticated aircraft into falling chunks of metal. The aliens crashed into their own buildings, creating more chaos and destruction. News of successful attacks spread through the underground network. In London, resistance fighters led by Captain Kate Wilson destroyed an alien communication center. In Tokyo, a team commanded by Major Alex Kim rescued 500 prisoners from a work camp. In Sydney, demolition expert Sarah Lee collapsed an entire alien factory using their own mining equipment against them. The aliens responded with increased security and harsher punishments. They brought in more soldiers and built stronger defenses around their facilities. But this only made the problem worse. Every new alien soldier was another target for human fighters. Every new defense was another challenge for human engineers to overcome. The resistance had advantages the aliens couldn't understand. Humans knew their own planet better than any invader ever could. They knew every tunnel, every building, every hiding place. They could move through Earth's cities like water flowing around rocks. More importantly, humans had something the aliens had never encountered in 3,000 years of conquest. They had the support of their entire population. Every man, woman, and child on Earth was part of the resistance, even if they couldn't fight directly. Children carried messages between resistance cells. Old people provided safe houses for fighters. Workers in alien facilities sabotaged equipment and stole supplies. Even the prisoners in work camps found ways to slow production and gather intelligence. Lieutenant Colonel Sam Turner established a network of resistance cells that covered the entire planet. Each cell operated independently, so if one was discovered, the others could continue fighting. The aliens found themselves fighting not just an army, but an entire world. The psychological impact on the hegemony forces was severe. They had expected to face a broken, defeated population ready to serve their new masters. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by enemies who struck without warning and vanished without a trace. Alien soldiers began showing signs of stress and fear. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, but Earth was different. On other planets, resistance ended within weeks. On Earth, it grew stronger every day. Dr. Amy Foster made another crucial discovery while studying captured alien equipment. The hegemony didn't just enslave other species for labor. They stripped away their cultures, their languages, and their identities. Every conquered race became identical workers with no memory of their past. They're not just conquering planets, Amy told Sam during a secret meeting. They're erasing entire civilizations. Every species they've taken has been turned into mindless drones. Sam felt a cold anger settle in his chest. How many? According to their own records, hundreds of species across thousands of worlds, billions of intelligent beings reduced to slavery. This knowledge spread through the resistance network and changed the nature of their fight. They weren't just defending Earth anymore. They were fighting for every enslaved species in the galaxy. The weight of that responsibility was enormous, but so was the determination it created. As the first year of occupation ended, the aliens controlled Earth's major cities, but they didn't control Earth. Humans moved freely through the wilderness and underground tunnels. They had weapons that could hurt alien technology. Most importantly, they had proven that the hegemony could be resisted. The message went out through hidden transmitters to any species that might be listening. Earth was still fighting. The hegemony was not invincible. Freedom was possible. Deep in their command ships, alien leaders studied reports from Earth with growing concern. No species had ever fought this long or this effectively. Their conquest schedules were falling behind. Their soldiers were becoming unreliable. But the hegemony had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They would not be defeated by one primitive planet. They began planning a final solution to the human problem. They would make Earth an example that would terrify any other species that might think of resistance. They had no idea that humans were also making plans. Plans that would take the war far beyond Earth's atmosphere and into the heart of the Galactic Empire itself. But for the first time since the invasion began, humans believed they could. Actual Commander Tony Blake stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar warship, watching the alien world of Kepler 442b grow larger on the main screen. The planet looked beautiful from space, with blue oceans and green continents that reminded him of Earth. But the intelligence reports told a different story. The Canary people had lived on this world for millions of years before the hegemony arrived 800 years ago. They were a species that looked like large, intelligent dogs with golden fur and gentle eyes. They had been peaceful farmers and artists before the aliens enslaved them and turned their world into a mining operation. Approaching the outer defense. "Grid!" reported Lieutenant Carol Stone from the navigation station. "I'm detecting 12 hegemony patrol ships and 3 orbital defense platforms." Tony nodded. The human fleet consisted of 5 ships built using technology stolen from the captured command vessel. They were smaller than hegemony warships, but faster and more maneuverable. More importantly, they carried weapons that the aliens weren't expecting. "All ships, this is Commander Blake." Tony spoke into the communication system. "Begin Operation Liberation. Show them what humans can do." The battle began with a coordinated strike on the orbital platforms. Human ships moved in patterns that confused the alien defenders, using tactics learned from years of guerrilla warfare on Earth. Instead of charging straight at their targets, they used the planet's gravity and asteroid fields to mask their approach. The first platform exploded in a ball of fire as human missiles punched through its shields. The aliens had designed their defenses to stop conventional attacks, but human weapons used hybrid technology that combined alien power sources with human engineering creativity. "Second platform is down," called Captain Mark Johnson from the attack ship Wolf. "Moving to engage the patrol fleet." The alien patrol ships tried to form a defensive line, but the humans refused to fight a conventional space battle. Instead, they split up and attacked from multiple directions, forcing the aliens to divide their fire and weaken their defense. Commander Tony Blake had learned his tactics from studying Earth's resistance operations. The same principles that worked in the ruins of Chicago worked just as well in the void of space. Hit hard, move fast, and never let the enemy predict your next move. But the real war wasn't happening in space. It was happening on the planet's surface, where 800 years of oppression were about to end. The human ships began broadcasting a message in the Canary language, using translation software developed from the captured alien databases. The message was simple but powerful. "People of Kepler 442b, this is the Human Liberation Fleet. Your freedom begins today." On the planet below, the Canary workers in the mining facilities heard the message through the communication systems. For 8 centuries, they had been told that resistance was impossible and that the hegemony was eternal. Now they heard voices from space telling them that another species had successfully fought back. The psychological impact was immediate. In Mining Complex 7, a Canary supervisor named Keth threw down his work tools and began smashing the machinery around him. His action triggered a chain reaction as other workers joined the destruction. The rebellion spread faster than the alien overseers could contain it. Canary workers who had been docile for generations suddenly remembered what it felt like to be angry. They turned on their alien masters with 800 years of suppressed rage. The hegemony garrison commander sent urgent messages to his home fleet, requesting immediate reinforcements. But Tony Blake's ships had destroyed the long-range communication arrays during their initial attack. The garrison was cut off and surrounded. "Landing teams, deploy to coordinates 7 through 12, Tony ordered. "Provide support to the local population, but remember, this is their planet. We're here to help them take it back, not to conquer it ourselves." Human soldiers landed near the major population centers, carrying weapons and supplies for the Canary rebels. But they also carried something more important: proof that the hegemony could be defeated. Captain Susan Wright led the first contact, team that met with Canary resistance leaders in the ruins of their ancient capital city. The Canary were larger than humans, with powerful builds and keen intelligence that had been suppressed but never destroyed by their alien captors. "We remember the old stories," said Benth, an elderly Canary who had become a leader among his people. "Our grandparents spoke of the time before the sky demons came. We thought those stories were just dreams." "They weren't dreams," Susan replied. "Your people had a great civilization before the hegemony arrived. We can help you build it again." The human soldiers shared intelligence about hegemony weaknesses and provided weapons that could penetrate alien armor. But the real fighting was done by the Canary themselves, who proved to be fierce warriors when given the chance to fight for their freedom. The battle for Kepler 442b lasted 3 weeks. The hegemony garrison was equipped with advanced weapons and defensive positions, but they faced an entire planet in rebellion. Every Canary on the world joined the fight, from young adults who served as messengers to elderly citizens who provided food and shelter for the rebels. The aliens had never faced anything like this before. Their standard procedure was to use mind control technology to keep enslaved populations docile and obedient. But the Canary had been inspired by the example of human resistance, and inspiration was harder to suppress than individual thoughts. Dr. Amy Foster, now serving as the Human Fleet's chief scientist, monitored the liberation from her laboratory ship. She was particularly interested in how the Canary responded to freedom after so many generations of slavery. "They're adapting faster than we expected," Amy reported to Tony Blake. "Within days of the rebellion starting, they were organizing military units and supply lines. It's like their natural leadership abilities were just waiting for a chance to emerge." The breakthrough came when Canary rebels captured the main administrative center where the aliens kept their control computers. Human technical specialists helped them access the systems and shut down the mind control networks that had suppressed their people for centuries. The effect was like watching a sleeping giant wake up. Across the planet, Canary citizens who had worked as mindless drones suddenly remembered who they were and what they had lost. The rage that followed shook the ground and cracked the foundations of hegemony rule. The final battle took place at the planetary capital, where the last hegemony forces had barricaded themselves in their fortress-like headquarters. The aliens fought with the desperation of beings who knew their empire was no longer invincible. But they were facing an enemy they couldn't understand. The Canary weren't just fighting for military victory. They were fighting to reclaim their souls, their culture, and their identity. That kind of motivation couldn't be stopped by superior technology. When the fortress fell, the hegemony garrison commander was captured alive. Under interrogation, he revealed something that shocked both humans and Canary. He admitted that news of human resistance had already reached other enslaved worlds, and spontaneous rebellions were breaking out across the galaxy. "You don't understand what you've started," the alien commander said. "The Empire has kept peace for 3,000 years. Without us, the galaxy will fall into chaos and war." Tony Blake looked at the creature with disgust. "You call slavery peace? You call genocide order? The galaxy will be better off without you." Word of Kepler 442b's liberation spread through hidden communication networks that connected enslaved worlds across the galaxy. The message was always the same. The hegemony could be defeated, freedom was possible, and other species were willing to help in the fight. On Proxima Centauri b, the Zephyrite people began sabotaging their crystal mining operations. On Gliese 607 CC, the aquatic swimmers started flooding their work facilities and reclaiming their ocean cities. On dozens of other worlds, enslaved species looked up at the stars and decided they would rather die fighting than live in chains. The hegemony's central command realized they were facing a crisis unlike anything in their 3,000-year history. A single human planet had somehow triggered rebellions across their entire empire. Their military was stretched thin, trying to contain uprisings on hundreds of worlds. General Holly Martinez, commanding the Human Liberation Forces from Earth, coordinated the expanding rebellion from her headquarters in the captured alien command ship. Her strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Provide each rebellious world with just enough support to succeed, then move on to the next target before the hegemony could concentrate their forces. "We're not trying to conquer the galaxy," Holly explained to her staff. "We're trying to free it. Every world that throws off hegemony control becomes a base for liberating the next world. It's a chain reaction that feeds on itself." The humans established supply lines and communication networks that connected the free worlds. Former slaves shared intelligence about hegemony operations and provided safe harbor for human ships. Most importantly, they proved that different species could work together as equals rather than masters and servants. But the hegemony wasn't finished. Their core worlds still commanded vast fleets and armies that could crush any single rebellious pili. The alien fleet spread across space like a hunting pack closing in on wounded prey. Admiral Kexthor of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the tactical display with satisfaction. 12 ships against 1. Primitive human vessel. The outcome was obvious. "Orders from the High Command are clear," Kexthor said to his bridge crew. "Destroy all human military assets, then begin orbital bombardment of population centers. The human species will be eliminated. Completely this time." But as the alien ships closed the distance, something felt wrong. The human vessel was not running away. It was moving toward them at impossible speed, and its energy signature did not match any known ship design. Commander Veklos studied his sensor readings. "Admiral, that ship is using our own engine technology, but the power output is higher than our largest battleships." 3 light minutes away, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his transformed vessel and watched the alien fleet approach. His ship, which the crew had named Retribution, was outnumbered 12-1, but numbers did not tell the whole story. "Athena, tactical analysis," Jake said. The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Enemy ships are using standard Zephyrian attack, Formation Alpha 7. They expect us to either flee or attempt a defensive position. They are not prepared for aggressive tactics." Kate Phillips had her eyes closed, feeling the ship's movement through the neural interface. "I can sense their ships, Captain. They move like they are following a script, very predictable." "Sam, are weapons ready?" Jake asked. Sam Peterson's hands moved over controls that responded to his thoughts as much as his touch. "All railguns loaded with armor-piercing rounds. Missile systems armed with adaptive AI guidance. Energy shields at maximum power." The alien fleet opened fire when the Retribution was still 2 light minutes away. Beams of energy that could melt mountains streaked across space toward the human ship. But Kate felt them coming through the ship's sensors and moved the Retribution in ways that alien tacticians had never seen before. The ship twisted and folded, its modular hull sections reconfiguring to present the smallest possible target. Energy. Beams that should have vaporized the vessel passed harmlessly through empty space where it had been moments before. "Impossible," Admiral Kexthor muttered as he watched his fleet's opening salvo miss completely. No ship can change direction that quickly at those speeds. But the Retribution was not just changing direction. It was changing shape. As it closed the distance to the alien fleet, sections of its hull folded back to reveal weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Sam's railguns fired first. Projectiles accelerated to near-light speed crossed the distance between fleets in seconds, but these were not the simple kinetic weapons that aliens expected from humans. Each projectile was guided by its own AI, and they could change course to follow moving targets. The first Zephyrian cruiser never saw the railgun round that punched through its shields and hull like they were made of paper. The projectile went completely through the ship and out the other side, leaving a perfectly round hole that vented atmosphere and crew into space. "Shield impact," reported the Zephyrian sensor officer. "No, wait. The shields did not stop it. The round went right through them." Admiral Kexthor stared at his tactical display. Human kinetic weapons were primitive. They could not penetrate Zephyrian shields. But somehow this human ship was firing projectiles that his shields could not even detect until they hit the hull. The Retribution continued its attack run, moving through the alien formation like a dancer avoiding clumsy partners. Every time the aliens tried to target it, the ship was somewhere else. Every time they fired, their weapons hit empty space. But the human ship's weapons never missed. Sam's AI-guided missiles split apart as they approached their targets, becoming swarms of smaller projectiles that overwhelmed alien point defenses. Each missile could analyze enemy defensive patterns and adapt its approach in real time. The Nexari. Destroyers tried to flank the human ship, using their superior numbers to box it in. But Kate anticipated their movement and triggered the ship's most unusual ability. The Retribution split apart into 5 separate sections, each one moving independently while staying connected through Maya's neural network. What kind of ship? Separates during combat? Commander Veklos demanded. The answer came quickly. Each section of the Retribution attacked different targets simultaneously. The aliens found themselves fighting 5 opponents instead of 1, and each section moved with the same impossible agility as the original ship. The Kethron battleships, massive vessels 3 times the size of the Retribution, moved to engage what they thought was the main section of the human ship. Their planet-killing weapons charged up, preparing to fire beams that could crack continents. But Elena Rodriguez had been studying those weapons for 3 years. She knew exactly how much energy they generated and how long they took to charge. As the battleships prepared to fire, she triggered the Retribution's most dangerous system. The ship's exotic matter generators went into overload, creating a temporary black hole in space. The black hole existed for only milliseconds, but that was long enough to absorb the full power of both battleship weapons and compress it into a single point. Then, Elena released the stored energy all at once. The beam that erupted from the Retribution was brighter than a star. It struck both Kethron battleships simultaneously, passing through their shields as if they did not exist. The massive alien vessels simply ceased to exist, vaporized by their own weapons reflected back at them. "Status report," Jake called out as the ship's sections began to recombine. 4 enemy ships destroyed, Sam reported. 8 remaining, but they are retreating to maximum weapon range. They are calling for reinforcements, Amy added from the communications station. Multiple fleets are moving toward this system. Jake studied the tactical display. The remaining alien ships were hanging back, unsure how to fight an enemy that did not follow any known tactical principles. But he knew more ships were coming, and the Retribution could not fight an entire armada alone. Athena. Analysis of enemy. "Communications," Jake ordered. "The surviving ships are reporting that they encountered an unknown vessel using hybrid technology," the AI responded. "They are requesting instructions from their home governments on how to proceed." Admiral Kexthor stood among the wreckage of his bridge, which had been damaged when the human ship somehow turned his own weapons against him. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed by a single enemy vessel that should not exist. "Send a message to High Command," he ordered. "We have encountered a human ship using our own technology, but modified in ways we do not understand. Request immediate tactical analysis and reinforcement." The response came back quickly. The Galactic Council was mobilizing a combined fleet from 7 different species. Over 300 ships would converge on the Sol system to eliminate what they were calling the human threat. But Jake Morrison was already planning his response. The battle had taught him something important about alien tactics. They fought by the rules, following established patterns and procedures. They expected their enemies to do the same. Humans did not fight by rules. They fought to win. "Lisa, open a channel to Earth," Jake ordered. When the connection was established, Jake found himself speaking to a room full of government officials who had been watching the battle through deep space telescopes. "Captain Morrison," said President Collins, "the entire world saw what you just did. That was incredible." "Thank you, sir," Jake replied. "But this is just the beginning. They are sending more ships, a lot more ships. How many? The president asked. 300, Jake said. Maybe more. The room went silent. Even the Retribution could not fight 300 ships at once. What do you need? President Collins finally asked. Jake smiled. I need you to give me everything you have got. Every engineer, every scientist, every resource you can spare. We are going to build more ships. How long do we have? 6 months, Jake said. Maybe less. As the Retribution headed back toward day Earth, Jake walked through the ship and looked at his crew. They had just won the first battle between humans and aliens in 4 years. They had proven that human technology could not only match alien capabilities, but exceed them. But the real war was just beginning. 300 alien ships were coming to Earth, carrying enough firepower to turn the planet into a lifeless rock. Jake had 6 months to build a fleet that could stop them. 6 months to prove that humans belonged among the stars not as victims, but as equals. 6 months to show the galaxy that the species they had dismissed as primitive had learned to turn their enemies' greatest strengths against them. The Retribution flew toward Earth, carrying the plans and technology needed to build humanity's first real space fleet. Behind it, the wreckage of alien ships drifted in space, proof that the age of easy human conquest was over. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not stay down when you knocked them over. They got back up and they got back up angry. 2 years after the Phoenix Project began, the ship that rose from the Colorado mountains barely looked like the alien wreck that had crashed there. Jake Morrison stood in the rebuilt bridge and watched his crew prepare for their first full power test. The ship they had created was something no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The hull gleamed with Marcus Webb's new composite materials. The metal was lighter than the original alien armor, but twice as strong. More importantly, it could change shape. Sections of the ship could fold and reshape themselves, turning the vessel from a long-range battleship into a fast attack craft. In minutes, Elena Rodriguez had solved the exotic matter problem by building particle accelerators into the ship's hull. Instead of carrying exotic matter, the ship could create it as needed. Her engines were smaller than the original alien systems, but much more powerful. Maya Chen's neural interface network connected every system on the ship. Instead of thousands of crew members, the ship could be operated by just 200 humans. But those humans could control the vessel with their thoughts, making it respond faster than any alien ship ever built. The ship's artificial intelligence had evolved far, beyond its original alien programming. Maya had named it Athena, and it had learned to think like a human while keeping its alien computational abilities. Athena could analyze battle situations, predict enemy tactics, and even display what seemed like creativity in solving problems. Lisa. Carter's communication systems allowed the crew to share information instantly. During combat, the entire crew could function like a single mind with 200 bodies. Orders did not need to be spoken or typed. They could be shared as pure thought through the neural network. The weapons systems represented the biggest departure from alien design. The Zephyrians built weapons to destroy. Sam Peterson had built weapons that could choose. The ship's railguns could fire bullets that would punch through enemy armor or create electromagnetic pulses that would disable ships without killing their crews. Ryan Brooks had solved the size problem by making everything modular. Instead of one giant ship, they had built a ship that could split into multiple smaller vessels or combine with other ships to form larger configurations. The ship was not just a weapon, it was a platform for building fleets. All systems show green, reported Lieutenant Kate Phillips from the navigation station. She was one of the first volunteers to master the neural interface, and she could pilot the ship as easily as walking. Power generation at full capacity, added Dr. Rodriguez from the engineering station. Exotic matter synthesis is stable. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was half the age of most ship captains, but they had trained on systems no human had ever used before. They were the first generation of humans who could think alongside alien technology. Athena. Status report, Jake said. The AI's voice came from speakers throughout the bridge, but it also appeared as thoughts in the minds of anyone connected to the neural network. All systems operational, Captain. The ship is ready for launch. Jake took a deep breath. They had tested individual systems hundreds of times, but this would be the first time they activated everything at once. The power levels involved could either lift them into space or create a crater visible from orbit. Begin launch sequence, Jake ordered. Deep inside the ship, Elena's exotic matter generators came online. The ship's hull began to vibrate as forces that normally only existed inside black holes were created and contained within the engine compartments. Reality itself bent around the ship as it prepared to break free from Earth's gravity. On the bridge, every display showed increasing power levels. The ship was drawing energy from sources that human science had only theoretical knowledge of just 3 years ago. But the theories were working. The power flowed smoothly through systems designed by humans to channel forces discovered by aliens. Gravitational anchors released, reported Ryan from the engineering section. We are no longer connected to the mountain. Jake felt a slight shifting sensation as 2 miles of spacecraft began to move for the first time in 5 years. Outside, the view screen, rock and metal fell away as the ship lifted itself out of the crater where it had been rebuilt. Navigation is responding perfectly, Kate said. Her eyes were closed as she guided the ship through the neural interface. I can feel the ship's position relative to Earth's gravity field. It is like the ship is part of my body. The ship rose slowly at first, then faster as Elena increased power to the engines. Within minutes, they broke through the atmosphere and entered space. For the first time since the crash, the vessel that had once been called Void Render was flying again. But it was no longer the same ship. The alien vessel had been built to follow orders and destroy enemies. The ship they had created could think, adapt, and choose its own actions. It was neither human nor alien, but something entirely new. Run full diagnostic on all systems, Jake ordered. For the next 6 hours, they tested every part of the ship. The weapon systems could hit targets at ranges the original alien ship could never reach. The engines could accelerate faster than physics said was possible. The hull could reshape itself to optimize for different types of combat. Most importantly, the ship could learn. When they ran combat simulations, Athena analyzed every scenario and developed new tactics. The AI did not just follow programming. It created new strategies based on human unpredictability and alien computational power. Captain, Amy Foster called from the communication station. I am picking up transmissions from the outer solar system. Multiple ships approaching at high speed. Jake felt his heart rate increase. They had known this day would come, but they had hoped for more time. How many ships? 12 contacts. 6 match Zephyrian signatures. 4 appear to be Nexari, and 2 are unknown, but very large. Alex Sullivan, who had been studying alien databases for 3 years, looked up from his console. If the unknown ships are Kethron battleships, we are looking at a force that could destroy every human military installation on Earth in less than an hour. Jake walked to the center of the bridge and activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands. This is the captain. We have multiple alien ships approaching Earth. This is not a drill. We are going to engage them before they reach Earth. The crew responded without panic. They had trained for this moment for 2 years. Every person on the ship knew their job and trusted their equipment. Athena, tactical analysis of approaching. Enemy force, Jake ordered. The AI's response appeared on the main screen and in the minds of the bridge crew simultaneously. Enemy force consists of 12 vessels with combined firepower, sufficient to destroy all surface installations on Earth. Recommended strategy. Engage at maximum range using superior mobility and unpredictable tactics. Kate, set course for the edge of the solar system. Best speed. The ship accelerated smoothly. Elena's engines pushed them toward the enemy fleet at velocities that would have torn apart any human-built spacecraft, but their hybrid hull design handled the stress easily. As they approached the alien fleet, Jake realized that this battle would determine humanity's future. If they won, humans would announce to the galaxy that they were no longer victims. If they lost, Earth would be defenseless against whatever the aliens wanted to do to it. Enemy ships are detecting us, Lisa reported. They are changing course to intercept. On the main screen, Jake could see the alien vessels spreading into an attack formation. They moved with the precision of ships that had fought together for years, but they were moving in patterns designed to fight other alien ships that followed. Predictable tactics. Athena, are you ready? Jake asked. I am ready, Captain. All systems show optimal performance. The ship is eager to prove what humans and aliens can accomplish together. Jake smiled. The AI had definitely learned human attitudes along with human tactics. Then let's show them what we built. The battle was about to begin. 12 alien ships, carrying weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds, were approaching a single vessel, crewed by 200 humans. But those humans were connected to technology that neither species could have created alone. The ship that had once been a symbol of human defeat was about to become proof that humans did not stay defeated. They learned, they adapted, and they built things that were better than anything their enemies could imagine. All weapons online, Sam Peterson reported. Targeting systems locked on enemy vessels. Engines at maximum efficiency, Elena added. We can outrun anything they have. Neural network at full integration, Maya said. The crew is thinking as one. Jake looked out at the approaching alien fleet and thought about all the humans who had died when the Zephyrians first attacked Earth. Those people had died believing that humanity was too weak to fight back against galactic powers. They had been wrong. Humans were not too weak to fight. They just needed to learn how to fight differently. Engage the enemy, Jake ordered. The transformed ship leaped forward into battle, carrying with it the hopes of an entire species and the promise that humanity would never again be caught unprepared. The age of human galactic power was about to begin. Surrounded them, he knew that impossible was just another word for something that humans had not figured. 6 months after finding Alex Sullivan in the alien wreck, Jake Morrison stood in a conference room that did not exist on any government map. The room was carved directly into the mountain, hidden deep inside the crashed ship. Around the table sat 12 of the smartest people he could find on Earth. Dr. Elena Rodriguez pushed her glasses up her nose and looked at the alien technology. Scattered across the table, she had spent 10 years trying to make human ships go faster than light, and she had failed every time. Now she was staring at engines that could cross the galaxy in weeks. This is impossible, she said for the 3rd time that morning. Their quantum cores use matter that should not exist. Commander Sam Peterson leaned back in his chair. He had spent the war trying to figure out how alien weapons worked by studying the pieces left after battles. Impossible just means we have not figured it out yet. Maya Chen was typing on her laptop, trying to crack the alien computer systems. Lines of strange code filled her screen. Their programming language is like nothing I have ever seen. It is not just different. It is built on completely different rules. Alex Sullivan pulled up a holographic display showing the ship's power systems. The Zephyrians think in straight lines. They build one system to do one job. Humans think differently. We make things do jobs they were never designed for. Marcus Webb held up a piece of alien hull material. Even after 3 years in the mountains, it showed no signs of damage. Their metals are stronger than anything we can make. But strength is not everything. Sometimes you need flexibility. Jake walked around the table looking at each person. He had spent months finding these people and convincing them to join his secret project. Most of them thought he was crazy when he first approached them, but when they saw the alien technology, when they understood what they could learn from it, they all said yes. We have been working on this for 6 months, Jake said. What do We know for sure? Elena stood up and activated another holographic display. We know their engines work by creating small tears in space-time, but they need exotic matter to stabilize the tears. We do not have exotic matter on Earth, so we make our own, Marcus said. I have been working with the university physics department. We think we can create synthetic exotic matter using modified particle accelerators. Maya looked up from her computer. The navigation systems are the real breakthrough. They do not just plot courses through space. They can predict where other ships will be before those ships even know where they are going. Sam Peterson nodded. Their weapons are powerful, but they follow predictable patterns. If we can see where they are going to shoot before they shoot, we can avoid it. Ryan Brooks had been quiet for most of the meeting. He was the team's engineer, the one who had to figure out how to actually build the things the scientists designed. The biggest problem is not the technology. It is the scale. This ship is huge. Even if we figure out how to make all the parts work, we need to rebuild almost 2 miles of spacecraft. Alex pulled up the ship's blueprints. The void render looked like a floating city. The original crew was over 3,000 aliens. We do not have 3,000 people, and we cannot recruit that many without being discovered. Then we do not use a crew of 3,000, Jake said. We make the ship run itself? Maya looked interested. You mean artificial intelligence? Better than that, Jake said. The aliens built their ships like we used to build factories. Everything was separate, with different people controlling different systems. But what if we connected everything? What if the whole ship could think? Elena was shaking her head. Creating an AI that's smart would take decades. We do not have decades. We do not create it, Alex said suddenly. We modify what is already here. He pulled up another display showing the ship's computer network. The Zephyrians already built an AI to run ship systems. It was damaged in the crash, but the core is still intact. We just need to teach it to work with humans instead of aliens. Maya was already typing again. If we could interface human neural patterns with their AI systems, we could create a hybrid intelligence, human creativity with alien computational power. The room went quiet as everyone thought about what that meant. Creating a human-alien hybrid intelligence was something no one had ever attempted. It could revolutionize human technology, or it could kill everyone who tried it. How would we test something like that? Sam asked. Very carefully, Jake said. We start small. Single systems first, then work our way up. Over the next 3 hours, they planned out the next phase of the project. Elena would work on creating synthetic exotic matter for the engines. Marcus would develop new hull materials that combined alien strength with human flexibility. Maya would figure out how to connect human minds to alien computers. Sam would redesign the weapons systems to take advantage of their ability to predict enemy movements. Ryan would coordinate the actual construction, turning their theories into reality. Alex would continue studying the alien databases, looking for weaknesses in enemy ships that they could exploit. Jake would handle recruitment, finding more people who could help with the project while keeping everything secret. After the meeting, Jake walked through the construction areas that had been carved out around the ship. Hundreds of people worked in shifts around the clock. Most of them thought they were part of a government research project studying alien technology. Only the core team knew they were actually rebuilding the ship. He found Lisa Carter in the communications section, working on alien signal processing equipment. She had joined the project 2 months ago after Jake convinced her that her electronics skills were exactly what they needed. How is it going? Jake asked. Lisa looked up from her work. Strange. Their communication systems do not just send messages. They send emotional context, background information, even smell and taste data. It is like they were trying to recreate being in the same room with someone. Can we use that? Maybe. If we can figure out how to interface it with human senses, we could create communication systems that are much more efficient than anything we have now. Jake nodded and moved on to the next section. Amy Foster was working with a team of linguists to decode alien technical manuals. They had covered one wall with alien symbols and their human translations. "Any luck with the weapons manuals?" Jake asked. Amy pointed to a section of the wall covered in red symbols. "These are their firing sequences. But Jake, these weapons are not designed to disable ships. They are designed to completely destroy them. Everything the Zephyrians built was meant to kill. Then we build something different," Jake said. "We build weapons that can choose between disabling and destroying." As Jake continued his tour, he realized how much the project had grown. What had started as 5 people studying alien technology had become a small army of engineers, scientists, and technicians. They were no longer just trying to understand alien technology. They were creating something new. The breakthrough came 3 weeks later. Maya had been working 18-hour days trying to create a stable interface between human neural patterns and alien computer systems. Most of her tests had failed, often painfully for the volunteers. But on a Tuesday morning, something worked. A volunteer named Carl Baker put on the neural interface headset and suddenly found himself connected to the ship's navigation system. For 10 minutes, he could see space the way the alien computers saw it, with detailed information about gravitational fields, energy patterns, and the movements of distant objects. When they disconnected him, Carl was shaking but excited. It was like seeing with 1,000 eyes at once. I could sense things that I do not think human eyes could ever see. Maya ran the data through her computers. His brain patterns actually synchronized with the alien AI, not just interfaced with it, but became part of it. Elena studied the recordings of Carl's brain activity during the connection. This is not just communication between human and alien systems. This is actual integration. His mind and the AI were thinking together. Alex pulled up the ship's status. Displays. When Carl was connected, the navigation system's efficiency increased by 40%. The AI was learning from his human intuition and using it to improve its calculations. Jake realized what this meant. They were not just rebuilding an alien ship with human modifications. They were creating something that was neither fully human nor fully alien. They were creating something new. The work accelerated after the neural interface breakthrough. Other systems began coming online as more volunteers learned to connect with different parts of the ship's AI. The engines responded to human operators who could feel the flow of exotic matter through the ship's systems. The weapons systems learned to think tactically instead of just following programmed responses. But as the ship became more capable, Jake knew their time was running out. Alex's monitoring of deep space communications showed more alien scout ships approaching Earth. Species that had never bothered with humans before were suddenly very interested in the planet that had supposedly been defeated by the Zephyrians. One evening, as Jake stood on the bridge of the nearly completed ship, he looked out through the main view screen at the stars. Soon, those stars would be filled with alien ships coming to finish what the Z's. "You gave us something when you tried to destroy us," Jake continued. "You gave us motivation. You showed us that the galaxy was full of species who would kill us rather than treat us as equals. So we decided to become something you could not ignore." Chancellor Morden stood up from his seat. "What do you want, human?" Jake smiled. "We want what every species wants, to be left alone to develop in peace. But we also want recognition that humanity is now a galactic power. We are not primitives asking for protection. We are equals demanding respect." War Speaker Goliath's voice boomed through the chamber. "You think 6 ships make you equal to our empires?" "6 ships destroyed your combined fleets," Jake replied. 6 ships built from the wreckage you left on our world. We took your cast-off technology and made it better than anything you ever imagined." He paused and looked around the chamber at representatives who had spent